everyone, welcome back to the shop. Today we have a 2010 Ford Expedition that has one heck of a clunk going into drive only, which is a head scratcher because U-joints, when they fail, or any kind of driveline component generally, they'll have lash and they'll bang in reverse or drive, okay, as a drive shaft twists and it takes up that slack on there. So let's let you listen to it while we're in the cab here. I should be able to pick it up in the microphone here, and then we'll go under the vehicle. I'll show you what's happening, and then we'll get to the fix. So we're in idle right now. In park, reverse, neutral, nothing. Whoa. Neutral. You kind of feel and hear something. That's weird, it's like something's relaxing. Okay. Reverse. Nothing. Neutral. Nothing. Whoa. Neutral. Relax. Reverse. Nothing. It's a real odd concern. Let's go under the vehicle and show you what's going on. All right, now as far as replacing this mount right here that supports the rear differential, you have two options. You can buy the whole mount done complete from Ford for around $205, or you can replace the bushing right here for around $35. So it's your choice depending on your tools and what you have. Now, of course, buying the whole bracket, you simply need the basic tools to unbolt and bolt it back on. Whereas pressing that bushing out, it's going to take a little bit more effort. Today we're going to try to use the bushing method as long as Ford, the local Ford dealer still has it in stock. So we can go that route and save the customer some money. Either way, the very first step is to jack your vehicle up off the ground, put it on some jack stands on the frame right here, and then we're going to put the vehicle into neutral, chock the wheels, and then we can come underneath here and we can start removing the drive shaft. Very first step. So what you want to do is have it in neutral, like I said, and then we'll just spin it around and we'll take off each one of these. They're 12 millimeter socket. That's what you need for these. Now make sure you mark one of these mating flanges on here so they mate back up in the same position. Prevents the stack up of tolerances on there. And that'll make sure we have no problems going back together. So we'll go ahead and pop that off of here. Impact is best, so we can just zing it right off. Otherwise, you may need to have someone holding the brake so the wheels and the axle shafts don't spin while you use a wrench and brake torque on here. Now once you get to the last one, yeah, loosen it, but keep it threaded in a little bit. Then we're gonna spin it down right here, just like that. And then we're gonna pound on the yoke right here so that it separates from the flange, the pinion flange. So our bolt's still holding it so it doesn't crash down on our heads. Right here, I like to tap on this. Just like that. Nice and safe method without damaging anything. And for this repair, we simply need to pull back on the drive shaft and bring it down. I'm just gonna lay mine right there, and that'll allow us enough room to get this bolt out. If you're so inclined and you're underneath here, you don't trust this, you may want to just simply drop it down and take it out. And that looks a little something like this. You just turn it back like that, clear the sway bar, and then we simply pull it out of the transfer case. There we go. Okay, now bracket removal is pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward, but I want to give you a few tips and tricks so you can get this thing out of here without too much fuss and without getting hurt. Now this differential here is very, very heavy, okay? You don't want it dropping down on you. What we're going to do here is we're going to go after these bolts right here, these 4 bolts that bolt the bracket to the differential. We're going to break torque on them only so we know they're loose and we can get them out nice and easy. After that, we're going to leave all 4 of them in. Then we're going to go down here to the front of the bracket and we're going to take the nut off of this single bolt up here. 18 millimeter head, 21 millimeter nut. We're going to leave the bolt in. Then we're going to take this spring off, get it out of the way. It just holds parking brake cable, and get that out of the way so this bracket will come right out, okay? Then what you're going to do is you're going to grab this and support it either with the jack or your arms while you take that bolt out. Push up on it a little bit, take the bolt out. Now it's going to be heavy. We're going to let it down slowly onto this sway bar right here, and that'll support it while we're getting these 2 top bolts all the way out that we couldn't get out before because the exhaust is in the way. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take a jack stand and we're going to support the nose right here of the differential with the jack stand so it holds the weight for us, okay? And then we can take these last 2 bolts out. And that'll be nice and safe that way, and this will be supported. All right, that process looks a little something like this in real time. I know it's a horrible angle, but that's why I explain it to you in detail first off. So again, we're going to go in here, and I'll use something like this for my serpentine belt toolkit to break torque on these. Get them broken, get them loosened, so they know they'll come right out when it's loose. Okay, that way these will just zing right out of here. And this shouldn't be too bad. It's, you know, steel on steel on steel, so it should come out pretty easy. I don't even use rust penetrant on these. And then we'll move forward over here to the front, and I'll use an impact over here. The nut off of there. I already pulled the spring off, so we'll pick up on it, pull our bolt out, and slowly set it down right there. And you see how that's going to hold it for us? And if you're doing this right now, you'll notice it's heavy. It's heavy. So let's get these 2 top bolts out that we couldn't get out before. We should be able to use my ratchet now. Let's go ahead and zing these out. All these bolts are galvanized, so it should come right out. All right. Here we go. Now at this point, like I said, we use a jack stand of sorts. I'm using a pole jack here. And we're going to support it at the nose. Just so we take the weight off. Okay. Let me show you how it looks. Let me bring you. There we go. You can see I'm holding it at the nose there. And we're just going to bring it up enough so it comes off of here. We know we're supporting it. Okay. There we go. Now the front's loose, springs out of there, bolts out of there, 2 tops are out of there. Now we just have these bottom ones. Okay, at this point, hold on to it. You can see it's nice and loose. And bolt out, tip it forward. And out she comes. There it is. That thing is pretty gnarled up. It's missing in there. It's about to fall out, actually. Let's go fix it. All right, now this next step that we're going to show you is just for those of you out there that are going forward with bushing replacement like I am here. Now, if you're going to replace the entire arm, you can just skip ahead to the end of the video where I show you how to torque it down properly. There is a sequence there, and then of course the torque specs and all that good stuff. Now, the very first thing you want to do when changing this bushing out is to measure the amount that protrudes out from the actual arm. So on this side of it, it just sticks out, whereas this side of it has like a reinforcement part of the arm that sticks out, and then our layer drops down, and that's the actual bushing sticking out of there. So what we're going to do is we're just going to use machinist ruler on this side and get ourselves a reading on there, and we'll take that a couple times. I got 7 millimeter the first time, and I got 7 millimeters the second time. So on this side, it's sticking out 7 millimeters when using a ruler like this. Okay, so at this point, we're good to go. We have our measurement. We can start pressing it out. Now what I'm going to do is use the receiver cup you see here, and I'll press it through on this side. So this right here is what I ended up with. I'm receiving it on this side, and I'm pressing it through from this side. Hopefully it works. Everything's not exact. The key here when you're pressing anything on a press, a ball joint press like this with the C-frame, is making sure it's all in line, okay? And that'll give you the best chance for success. Everything looks centered. Let's try it. Now right there you saw it wasn't going nowhere, wasn't going anywhere. And then all of a sudden you heard the change in the impact, hopefully. But you may also have heard it popping. That's a good sign. We're pressing through, pressing through straight, and that's good to go. So at that point, we should be good to press right on through until this stops. And then we'll have to change the cup on there. Okay, so after a couple adjustments with the tool, I was able to get a press out of there. It's a very tight fit. I mean, you gotta have just the perfect size adapter to get through because of the thin wall design on here to be able to press it through evenly. Now it came out and it's out of there and everything else, but this is what I don't like. This is why I don't like pressing bushings out of old components. Usually the bore has problems afterwards or issues like this. Now this may or may not have been avoidable, but look at this. You see how much it's squished in on the one side because one side was binding. It would not pop, and the inside is hollow. So I really don't like that, that it's doing that. Now the actual welds here, you know, and everything else is good to go. Even on the very edge there, nothing's cracked or anything like that. Welds on both sides are good to go. But I think in this case, because it is a customer's vehicle, I'm going to go with the whole complete arm. Years, you know, results may vary, you know. But I don't like how much it bent in it on the one side here. It just kind of gave because the inside is hollow. There's nothing connecting both sides, no reinforcement filler in there. So this one just bound and squeezed in like that. So we'll replace the arm, but maybe you might want to put some kind of filler in there, a press piece or something like that, to keep them from doing this. Learn from my mistakes and look at what can happen in a real world situation where it's so rusty that it's stuck and it just brought the steel with it. It happens. So what we'll do for this customer is replace the entire arm, but of course showing you how to press it out was important to me. It's very basic, and of course pressing it in is the same way. You just want to clean up inside of here with some Scotch-Brite, a little bit of grease, and then we can press it back in, make sure it's even on both sides. Alright, so here's the new unit from Ford. All new bracket and bushing insert. So we're going to do real quick for those of you out there that are pressing a new bushing in and yours did not collapse like mine did. I'll give you some measurements real quick here. Now I'm confirming how much it sticks out on both sides with the new one here, and it's looking like this side really is 7. Okay, so it's 7 millimeters sticking out. And this side you can see a bit better now that it's new. Here is part of the arm that's reinforced right here, and then it steps up, and then this right here is the actual bushing insert. So we're going to measure the amount of protrusion from the step. And we have 6 millimeters. And over here I measured it earlier, and it was 7. I mean, so it's between 6 and 7, depending on how perfectly it's straightened. It's how straight it's pushed into there, pressed into there. Now the bigger question here is, what's the distance between here and here? Let's say yours bent in a little bit. You want to straighten it before you start pressing the new piece in there. Well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get a measurement here real quick for you guys. As close as I can get it. And it's looking like it's 25 inside of there, 25 millimeters. Yep, 25 millimeters is the inside diameter between here and here when it's nice, square, and straight like this. So that's something to consider, because this is not going to change. This insert's not going to change. So we have the inside size, we have the thickness here, and then we have the protrusion. It should all add up for you. Alright, let's take this sucker over to the vehicle and put it on, and we can get this vehicle out of here finally. Alright, here we go. Now the differential nose right here is of course supported still by our jack stand, so we're ready to go. We can just concentrate on bolting it into these 4 bolt holes here, and then we'll get lined up over here with the body mount there. So let's go ahead and clean the threads real quick on here with some compressed air, maybe some brake clean, make sure they're good to go. And then I do the same thing with the bolts. I usually wire wheel the bolts, okay? Get them all the rust off of there if there is any, and then we're going to apply a good amount of blue Loctite on there so they can secure and stay secured. So let's go ahead and blow these out. Now when you pull the bolts out, you clean the threads basically, so what we need to do now is get the residue off that got pulled off the bolts. You can see there's a lot of it. Alright, then just make sure the rust right here is not too bad. This part right here doesn't matter because we're not bolting to that, but these points right here, you want them to be cleaned off so it's nice and flush when it bolts back up on there. Alright, and that process looks a little something like this. We'll just get it up and through here and past, and then we'll get one of the bolts in here so we can hold it, it doesn't fall on our heads. And we want to turn them in by hand just like this and make sure that they're threading in properly. Couple threads and make sure they're going in correctly. And then we'll do the same thing up here. Move it around as needed. Like so. And this top one, go get that sucker in too. If not, just lower your jack stand down a little bit. Okay, there we go. Now at this point, we're just concentrating on setting and torquing these bolts and getting that attached to the differential. And then once that's set, we can go to the front there and attach it up front. We're going to use this to get these set initially. We want to do a crisscross type deal. just like that. Now there is a specific way to torque and set this arm to the differential so we know it's tightened even after this crushes just a little bit, and that's the idea here. It's going to crush a little bit, so you're going to re-torque afterwards. So the way this goes is on 2003 through 2006 expeditions, it's 100 foot-pounds. We're going to torque them to 100 foot-pounds, crisscross pattern, let it set. On 07 through 2017, it's 150 foot-pounds. Okay, same thing, crisscross pattern. We're going to torque it and let it sit. And that'll crush this arm just a little bit, and then we're going to loosen them one full turn, and then we're going to do the same exact thing for a final torque, 150 foot-pounds on the newer vehicles and 100 on the older expeditions. And the idea here is this thing is going to crush a little bit. Guaranteed. So we're just going to go ahead and tighten this until it does that. You hear that? That's my frickin' shoulder. Not good. Doesn't hurt though. Makes a weird sound though, like it's crunching inside. So we'll literally go through, we'll torque these down, and you can see it gave a little bit right here. There's inserts in there, but it's gonna give a little bit, and that's the point of retorquing it. All right, let me recheck this one. Okay, and do these other two. So a nice diagonal like this pattern, do it nice and even and seat it to the differential. Oh man, that arm does not sound good. Now again, these are 18mm heads on here, and they should be for all the model years. Pretty popular size. Okay, now at this point they're set. They're all torqued down. They're set. The arm has crushed whatever it's going to do. Now we're simply going to loosen it. One full turn, they say, but of course, you know, once it starts spinning, it's good to go. See, this part is going to be a part we want to hold it. So right there, you see that I can turn it? Well, obviously, that's enough. So hold our arm. Okay. We got this one left, right? Okay. So these are all loose now once again. And then we're going to do the same old thing. Torque it to spec, the correct spec for your model year. And you'll notice, you notice that? It happened a lot quicker. That's because the crush is already taken out of the arm. So we're hitting it solid, and we're torquing. We're bottoming out and we're torquing. So this one's really loose, but right away these are hitting once they make contact again, because the crush is gone. And that is the whole point of it. Now once these are done, I will go over them once again just to make sure we're good to go. All right, so all four of these are torqued now. We can concentrate on the front. All right, now with the 4 bolts in the back secured, ready to go, we can just concentrate on the front attachment point right here on the cross member, okay? Same thing, we're gonna clean our bolt threads and apply some blue Loctite. And then you're simply going to just pick up on this and then slide it right on through. Like that. We'll take our nut on the back side here, Get that going. Before you get too far, make sure you get that spring and hook it into here for the parking brake. There we go. And then we can torque this bolt down to 100 foot-pounds. No matter what model year you're working on, 100 foot-pounds for this bolt right here. There we go. All right, that one's torqued down. Good to go. Then, last step of the process is to reinstall your drive shaft. Now up here at your slip yoke right here, you want to make sure that's nice and clean where it goes into the transfer case. We'll put that right in there and spline it up, and then we'll line up our white paint mark on the back side here with the drive shaft. So it all goes back in the same place. Same thing, clean your bolts, a little blue Loctite on there, and we're going to torque these down to 76 foot-pounds. Ahead and get this first bolt in, and then everything else will basically line up after that. It all centers around the center hub on there, the pinion flange. It's like a hub-centric design. So once you get the first bolt in, it kind of falls into place. Make sure it lines up. And this is why you want to make sure you put it in a couple threads by hand. For sure. You don't want to cross thread these. Same thing, a little wiggle. They should go in by hand, no sweat, couple threads. And then I'll just get them to a point where you can hit them straight on like this. And with the impact, go to the other side. Right here. And this will get them close. You can torque them down to that. Now the best way that I found to torque down these bolts without the drive shaft spinning, but being able to spin it freely so you can go to the next bolt and the next bolt while you're loading down here, is to use something like this, a pry bar, a long, thick, flat blade screwdriver, and stick it in the cross there in the yokes. And this one conveniently is right here to hold it for us. And it's only, 76 foot-pounds, so it should hold. There we go. And then because we already tightened them down in a crisscross pattern, it's set. You don't want to forget which bolt you were torquing down. I'll keep going clockwise, okay? It's not gonna matter at this point. So we torque this one down, we'll just keep on keeping on. So we'll get this one in here. Wedger, go to the next one. And that way you don't miss any of these things. See, we're just a little bit off. That's why I like using that impact combination, because it gets me close and saves time, but we're not killing the bolts and stretching them. Look at that, it's real close. It moves just a little bit, we're torqued. Again, get it against there. One left. We know we didn't skip any this way. All right, that's good to go also. All right, so the rear drive shaft is now attached, Loctite, and torqued. Good to go. The arm's good to go. The repair at this point is pretty much complete. Now all you got to do, of course, is to test drive it. You know, do those reverse drive, neutral engagements again, and make sure your slop and your noise is gone. I hope this helped you guys fix your Ford yourself. I'll see you next time, guys.